love. Got lots of love, love. Got lots of love, love.
Esports trying to find what angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll. See White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
The Beast Mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that Rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Sagafar is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick under Linky. They're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the day. Manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Ana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
And we're back another day for some more CGL Season 16 action, rounding off a couple of our final matches here. Winners, lower, and grands are all coming your way. Starting off today, of course, we are going into the Diamond Division. Going to be looking at the last three teams, two of which duking it out for that grand final spot up against Death Blossom. It's Wawa Gaming versus Shelby's team. And listen, it's not, this is CGL2 for a reason. There are many streams happening today, Shadow. There's like 3, of course, with argument included. And let's talk about what we have coming up on CGL1 and CGL3.
Yeah, I mean, to start with, CGL1's going to have that Drop the Guns Ambitious Silver Squad. That's going to be the Plat Tier Grand Finals, so makes sense. We'll toss that over on the CGL1 there. And then over on CGL3, we're going to have the Zodiacs going against Primordius Rising, which I expect to be a pretty good game there as well. But going on to our two teams here, Wawa and Shelby's team, let's head over to the bracket, get a look at how these two teams actually got here tonight. And you can see both of these teams did actually lose to Death Blossom. That is a mistyping there or something with Death Blossom and Shelby's team. That was a 3-2 in the favor of Death Blossom. It was actually a really close series. But you can see these are the two teams that lost to Death Blossom in round 2 and round 3. So both of them definitely raring to get that second opportunity at Death Blossom in that grand finals.
Yeah, they really are. And I sat there and watched that reverse sweep from Death Blossom last week, really taking it back away from Shelby's team and sending them down to that lower finals against Wawa Gaming, who have been here since round 2 of lower bracket. They had to get the 3-1 against Diamond Eagles. They got a clean 3-0 against Aura Fury and have been waiting for their next match for a couple of days now. Now finally coming into fruition. And again, this is a guaranteed rematch against Death Blossom from either Wawa Gaming or Shelby's team here. This is the bracket. This is how it all laid out, and this is how it may or may not be finalized, depending on who wins this first to 3. With that being said, let's bring it back and talk about Wawa Gaming and Shelby's team specifically. These guys have been really showcasing so much of that prowess in the Diamond Division, literally both of these teams, Wawa Gaming, have been the newcomers and really coming into top 3 guaranteed, whereas Shelby's team previously playing last season being the #1 winner and now having to fight for that place once again with most of their roster, right? So with that being said, you always know it's someone's turn to pick a map here, and of all the control maps, the most popular, as you and I have been seeing, Shadow, is Lijiang more often than not, maybe some Ilios. So sometimes a curveball basis comes in, but if I'm a betting man, I would think to go Lijiang Tower for either of these teams.
I'd be really surprised to see anything outside of Lijiang Tower. With Shelby's team having the choice because they fell down last, if you will, so they're the higher seed here. So I would expect them to just go Lijiang Tower and go for like a full-on just brawl style comp. Oh, but it looks like they actually have picked something different. They might have also picked this against Death Blossom, but maybe Death Blossom had the pick. I don't know. I know I've seen Nepal recently, but we're going to see Nepal again tonight, and it leaves open the opportunity for some potentially some Symmetra gameplay shenanigans here, I think.
I'm not gonna lie, I think it's the first time on any of my broadcasts that I was able to cover anything but Lijiang or Ilios. Going over to Nepal, I love Nepal, and I love that you mentioned Symmetra here, because if you even think about Nepal, usually the 9 times out of 10 on Sanctum and on Village, you're thinking about Symmetra setting up those 3 turrets against that barricade, or even against the rooftop of the village, and you really can't enter it if you allow her to set up that quickly, right? So Nepal being an interesting choice here coming through from Shelby's team, and I like it. It's something different. It will force some different compositions that we haven't really seen quite yet, or different play styles. And on that note, with that map ban also being in their, or map pick being in their favor, they also have the benefit of a first character ban as well.
And yeah, the first character bans on map 1 are so interesting, because I feel like with Shelby's team picking a map like Nepal, there has to be some sort of strategy that they're wanting to do. If they're wanting to do the Symmetra, you need to ban a DPS of some sort. It honestly, quite frankly, does not matter which one. You just need to ban something. And so we see the cast come out. That leads me into thinking that, hey, they want to run this Symmetra-based composition, maybe like Symmetra Sojourn, and have Reverts running that Sojourn that they're so good at.
Yeah, for sure. And with that being said, we're locked and loaded, getting that ban out of the way here for Shelby's team. And I believe it was going to be a Cassidy ban coming in from Shelby's. And Wawa Gaming now in that hot seat, right? You can't ban DPS, you can't ban, you could ban a tank or a support. And more often than not, okay, you want to leave your tank a little bit more open so you can kind of flex around, Zarya, Ramantra, Orisa, Ball, Malga. I mean, the world is your oyster with the tank selection here. But I do think we might want to go towards a support ban, and it does come in the way of that Kiriko for Wawa Gaming, and a really early pull on that Kiriko ban as well. Typically, you'll see that be used in the second, even third map, typically against a flashpoint or a push of some sort, but no, Wawa Gaming rip the band-aid off and take out Kiriko away from the first map here. And speaking of Wawa Gaming, let's talk about their first 5, their starting lineup. Going into map number 1, we have Momo Monkey, we have Pigeon coming back on that DPS line, / Castle, I mean a menace on that tank role, especially in this Diamond division. Deadly Pants and Lord Shroom also on that back line as always, and I cannot wait to see this synergy, this cohesiveness, come in from Wawa Gaming versus Shelby's team.
Yeah, the newcomers going up against the old guard. Shelby's team trying to get that 3-peat, try and keep that alive here. And here is the roster we're going to see tonight. I'm actually a little bit surprised at one of these picks here. As you'll see, we've got Burtfield and Reverts running that DPS line. Dixie coming in on that tank. And then we got Paperclip and Xerneas on that support line. And now I say I'm surprised. Usually Cloud Lemon is in on that tank role, but Dixie going to be in on tank this time. I don't think I've actually seen them play tank before, like me personally, when I've casted them. So I'm not sure what the strategy might be here. Are you familiar, Mott?
I mean, run it down, hope for the best. I mean, that that could also be a strategy here. I do think with banning out Cassidy first, I think they might be a little more weary about the Pigeon and Reverse 1v1, right? And you did mention, like, hey, we could go to the Sojourn Mirror instead, and that does come down to not only being able to click heads, but also having excellent positioning, being able to use your disruptive field whenever possible to disrupt your front line and back line. Like, there's a lot of different, I almost want to say a Sojourn a little bit more in depth as than a character like Cassidy. As much as I do love Cassidy, my man is simply a click, headshot, and win kind of character. Maybe a hinder nade here and there, right? But with that being said, I also think the cast ban makes sense either way, because on control or flashpoint as well can kind of go with this. He's too close. You're too close to me. Let's back up a little bit. You're forced into these very close encounters with Cassie, and you're just like, I don't want to deal with him. I think that's why we headed to the ban.
That was actually when the turnaround started for Death Blossom. Shelby's team kept Cass out of the rotation for maps 1 and 2. Yeah. And then Cass was in the rotation for maps 3, 4, and 5, and JML just absolutely took over on that character for that series. So it could just be a similar strategy here again. They just don't want to deal with the Cass on these close range maps like you were talking about.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't want to deal with him. And if we're going to have Burtfield on Tracer at the same time, or even Mo Monkey as well on that Genji, they're one of their favorite heroes, both of their favorite heroes, may I say. Yeah, if I don't have to deal with Cassidy, I'm chilling as a flex DPS. I'm just saying, I'm chilling.
Yeah, the stun grenade can be a lot to deal with on a consistent basis, especially as a tracer. Like, you just get that landed on you one time, it hinders you just long enough, and you'll get immediately headshot on. I know because I can do it, and I have atrocious aim. So if I can do it, oh man, give somebody with good aim that ability, it's over with.
Oh, for sure. Oh my goodness. That's why I keep saying, like, Cassidy, in terms of, when we're talking about Cassidy versus Sojourn, I feel like Cass is such a very clear, straightforward character. You have one good roll tool that does mitigate damage, so you are away from, like, pulse and things like that. You can live through a lot of unnecessary things. So I think Soj here, from both sides, if they're running the character, which we do see one side running the Sojourn, that being Pigeon, so we do have that guess corrected here. But Shelby's team looking like they have reverts on that Reaper, which you've seen multiple times in the past. Not just the character, but also just knowing reverts on that Reaper has been pretty much a problem more often than not.
It's looking like Reverts is gonna swap over to that Sojourn though, walking out the door. I think you're going to want the Reaper, though, because I think this Malga is going to be a problem to try and deal with as it is right now. I just don't know if you have the sheer firepower to get rid of this Malga.
That's the thing. That is the play, and you do see Momo Monkey getting off of that Symmetra, going over to not Tracer but Reaper in the same field. So Shelby's team are actually gonna be the ones looking for a lot, or being on the receiving end of that damage output from the Soj, from the Reaper, from the Malga. And here's the engagement. Burtfield comes in, tries to scout through for some sort of engagement onto that front line, but we don't even care about the Tracer, as we see Slash Castle run in on Dixie, trying to shield them off, and it all comes for naught. 1, 2, 3 go down. Pigeon being looked at by the Tracer, and Birdfield does get at least one. Recalls through, but I'm not sure they have enough of these blinks. Yeah, not at all enough blinks to run away to safety. So Mo Monkey gets to clean up and a slight little bit of a stagger onto that onto that DPS line.
And I mean, that's just the prime example of what I was talking about right there, right? You saw that stomp comes through, essentially gets rid of all of Dixie's armor health, and you just have to stand there and block, and you just don't have the ability to take this Malka down from full HP. You don't have the ability to do it.
Oh, you don't even have the ability to get out away from Momo Monkey, and you can see Shelby's team went around like this very small corridor, but Reaper of all characters loves to fight in close encounters, and they're winning this 5v4, 5v3 now, taking down Paperclip in the engagement with relative ease. Slash Castle, as you mentioned, is going to be a problem on this Malga if we don't solve it faster now or later.
I mean, honestly, it seems a little ridiculous, but I think the easiest answer here is just to mirror. I think when you mirror, you have to have the Reaper too, though, because if one has to deal with a Reaper and the other Malga doesn't have to deal with a Reaper, it's just so much less pressure going on.
There's the engagement, and like you mentioned, that mirror does come through, but the engagement is well timed from Wawa Gaming. The follow-up is even better from Wawa as well. Yeah, you get one off, that being Pigeon, and even losing out Momo Monkey, but there is a cage fight right in the entryway of this objective. Burtfield's trying his best to break out of the cage with these little, Nerf gun pellets of the blaster, but thankfully Xerneas comes through with the coalescence, and that is finally the flip here for Shelby's team to continue this fight and now flip the objective.
This comp I actually like from Shelby's team, right? Because you have the frontline damage with Reverts going over to that Reaper now, and Burtfield just has to do something about Pigeon. If Burtfield can consistently deal with Pigeon on this Sojourn, that would be so huge, and they would be able to harass the backline.
Oh, we walk in with a great Blossom. Does take out both of the Moiras, but a loose pulse bomb on the floor takes care of Deadly Pants on the ground alongside Pigeon. The fight is done, and they were able to bait out that big Blossom from Momo.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great play from Burtfield. Like I said, that's the advantage that you do have having the Tracer. You have a very, very mobile DPS that can get around, just kind of pepper the back line consistently. Now, you're going to have to do something big with this cage fight here if you're Zelda's team.
Oh no, oh no, Paperclip is 5% away from mirroring the barrier, right? So Deadly Pants is giving these guys a huge stability increase in this engagement. They basically are able to use that barrier aggressively and completely overrun Shelby's team, including killing off Paperclip early.
That is incredibly unfortunate. Not being able to build up to that sound barrier, 5% right there, that was the difference in that entire fight. Because if Paperclip does have sound barrier online, I have a hard time believing Shelby's team loses that engagement. So 5% makes all the difference there. Pigeon going to have this overclock online. Paperclip is going to have the sound barrier to mitigate it.
Well, there it goes one, but the sound barrier doesn't come in fast enough to help Xerneas. And while Reverts tries to use that Death Blossom against the overclocking Sojourn, you're in a straight line against the rail shot, right? So it's a really quick shutdown. Unfortunately, Slash Castle not really going to get the healing output needed from just the Lucio. Now it's a battle of the Lucio versus that Tracer. Deadly Pants forces out the recall, and I mean, this is the battle of a lifetime. Come on, Deadly Pants, you got this. One little bit of, oh my god, we don't disappoint! We don't disappoint! We don't disappoint! No, they can't end like that. Birdfield got the melee kill, but didn't touch the objective fast enough. Oh my god, Shadow, we have a match on our hands.
Well, you see, Tracer was actually not in the realm of reality, right? So that's why that doesn't count as a point touch. It has to be, right?
Yeah.
That must be what just happened right there, because Tracer was blinking somewhere, and that was like the most unfortunate sound barrier of all time right there by Paperclip. Like, it doesn't catch on to reverts, so reverts dies. It doesn't get early enough so that, who was it, Xerneas stays alive. Like, it's the worst situation you could have, because you caught the sound barrier onto the 3 players, but you didn't get the 2 players that you needed to have alive to win that engagement.
I just gotta say, Burtfield versus Delay Pans was the best 1v1 I've ever seen in the history of ever. That was intense, and it all ended up with Burtfield unfortunately forced, blinking in. You're not technically, in for the touch, unfortunately. But with that being said, we now move on to Synthem, I believe. We also are going to have a swap here. Dixie off of the Malga goes over to Diva. Love it. But the engagement does come in from Slash Castle first and foremost, trying to bait out Reverse, and they do successfully. They get the red form out of the way, and Burtfield still a menace against Pigeon. Really on top of the switcher at all times, getting that melee kill at the end of the day and giving a 4v5 advantage to Shelby's team. But we gotta make sure we don't defect first and foremost. Momo Monkey is looking at this Diva, hungry, waiting for the pounce, waiting for the kill, but Burtfield is still unaccounted for in that backline, taking care of not just Lord Shroom, but also assisting the kill onto Deadly Pants. Pigeon finds at least one with the disruptive shot onto Reverts, but otherwise, all Wawa Gamer are able to muster up here is about a quarter of the point here before it will go by the way of Shelby's team.
It's still good from Wawa, though, to manage to get that 26%. It's so hard for Shelby's team right now. That's the best way I can describe it. Everything they're doing is incredibly difficult. It's Burtfield picking somebody off early, landing a pulse bomb, getting 2 kills, right? And then Wawa's just simply walking forward as Malga and getting 2 or 3 kills. Like, that's all they're doing.
I mean, they're also walking forward on this Reaper and getting 2 or 3 kills as well, especially, able to... When you see Reavers getting out, they go in, and then when everyone dies, Reavers comes back in, and there's no one there to back him up, which is why you're seeing a big early flip here again for Wawa Gaming.
It's the frontline pressure, right? It doesn't exist for Shelby's team, and Wawa recognizes that, hey, if Reverts is not peppering our Malga 24/7, there's nothing preventing our comp from walking forward. So if Momo takes Reverts' attention, then Slash Castle can do whatever they want.
Ooh, I love the Orbit Array engagement here. Unfortunately, we're going to lose out on Dixie's mech, and Reverts, I think, pops the Blossom a little bit too far away, trying to get that damage output of the Orbit Array in his favor, but unfortunately, he does get shut down by Slash Castle before inevitably we do get the link back onto that Malga. Now, the Coalescence is going to be used here, and I do love it only because we don't have a front line of the Malga quite yet, but here comes the Sound Barrier engagement alongside Slash Castle, who is now back for some vengeance, and 70% is given to Wawa Gaming. They're gonna walk in with a cage fight. They're not letting this fight go back. They're not letting this fight rest for even a second. Diva Bomb does come in. We're gonna hide around the corridor, and that's gonna be able to get rid of the cage, but we're still getting kills. Backliners are no longer there. Neither is Burt, neither is Reverts.
Again, just a really unfortunate fight right there. You trade out the Malga of Slash Castle, yes, but you lose so many in the process. Now you're having to have a last-second touch, and Momo Monkey has this Death Blossom available.
We have the Blossom, and thankfully Paperclip does use the rally to at least help their team a little bit, but the force of the rally, I mean, it gets the D-Mech, it kills your Brigida, kills your Diva, and that is the end of the secondary round here in favor of Wawa Gaming, getting a first point on the board in the first to 3, and what a showcase, a masterclass of how to play that Malga with a backline like Moira and Lucio, of all things.
Yeah, Wawa doing a great job of just continuously walking forward, essentially. Like, that's all they were doing. Because, again, as I said, Shelby's team did not have the ability to keep up with them, right? It took crazy plays like that from Burtfield for them to win a fight. And that's what happens when you just don't have the same frontline damage that Malga composition has. And Slash Castle knows it, so what's Slash Castle going to do? Every 5 seconds that pin is online, we're pinning in, we're slamming somebody. We're just walking in, we're popping the cardiac overdrive, making my Reaper essentially unkillable, and they did a great job of that for this entire map. And I'm just surprised Shelby's team didn't mirror it, because I remember them being very good at the map.
They've had their shining moments. They were able to get this point to 57%, right? Before the 1v1 between Burtfield and Deadly Pants. But Shelby's team, they can play that Malga. I'm shocked they got off of it in this secondary round. I really thought Dixie did showcase that Malga to a really good extent. I think maybe if we saw Burtfield go over to mirror that Reaper and have a complete mirrored match here, save for that backline of the Juno Brig, maybe we would have seen a round 3 here from Shelby's team. Maybe we would have seen a little bit more life coming in from them, but at some point when it comes to that Malga Reaper composition, that momentum, it just starts to roll and it feels like you're getting swallowed up by that power and damage output of the Malga and Reaper working in tandem with one another.
It really does. It's overwhelming at sometimes, for sure. As someone who played the Malga in that composition several times before, you really do just feel like every 5 seconds I can pin in and I will not be punished for this. There's nothing the other side can do about it. Except at the time I was playing it, you played like Farah in the composition as well. It was a weird time back about a year and a half ago when Malga first came out. It was a very, very odd combination of heroes that we played with that. But same sort of idea, and Wawa seemed to have that down to a T. Shelby's team looking really confused, honestly, for a large majority of that map, in my opinion, where everybody was just splitting. Like, nobody was playing together. It makes sense when you have Burtfield on that Tracer kind of flanking, but then at the same time, when the other team is playing a full death ball style composition, you're going to struggle to stay alive against that.
I do want to note real quick, happy 2-year anniversary of Malga releasing, by the way, and he's back to being strong in meta. Yeah. He was released December 5th of 2023. It is now 2025, 2 years later, and Malga has come back as a valid tank option, right? And a very strong one at that, as you mentioned. Wawa Game is kind of putting on why Malga was such a problem, and he was low-key, he was worse, if you don't believe it, right? So, but that being said, our next map has finally been decided by Shelby's team here, and they want to change up the gameplay a little bit. They're not want to mirror a brawl again. We're gonna go to a very fun little amusement park of Blizzard World as our secondary, as our option for this hybrid map. I love it. We get away from the brawl, we do something different, we play our strengths, and we see what Wawa Gaming does in response.
I really like this pick because you have Numbani as an option as well, but I feel like Blizzard World leans more into the dive than Numbani does, generally speaking. Numbani, you definitely have to run dive on the first point, but like the rest of it, you can kind of vary it up a little bit. Blizzard World, it's a really strong map for particularly a hero like Echo, so I'm hoping to see some Echo gameplay on this map.
Ooh, I love Echo right now. Her buff, where she can now, her and Juno got the same buff where they have better air drift during their flight and their glide, respectively. And, oh my goodness, trying to aim for that character, ooh, it makes me mad. It makes me mad, Shadow. Oh my god, it makes me so mad. But she's so solid now, especially as you said on Blizzard World. I think she could really shine as a character. If any of our flex DPSers want to kind of shy away from the Tracer, from the Reaper, and maybe go over to Echo as an option. But this also means that we do have Cassidy back online, at least for now. If we do see that as another ban, of course, that could also happen from both sides. But Cass is back on, and we know Reverts loves to play the character, so maybe that can be something to look forward to here on Blizzard World.
Honestly, I think that Wawa has shown us we have to play something akin to a zombie-style composition, pull the Echo Reaper out and run Diva with it, and just do the more Relucio thing. Just do it all. Just do it all already. Just do the dive with the unkillable characters.
That's what I'm thinking. If they want to do a dive here, you can just put Diva back in and call it a day. Even the humble Winston, the humble Winston can make an appearance. A little Ano Brig, a little happiness for Montaneva. But no, in all seriousness, we have Blizzard World coming up on deck here, and with that also to boot, Shelby's team. I just ate, not too much on me, but Shelby's team also has the advantage of the first ban, right? So if you're thinking about how do we mitigate this power of Wawa Gaming, you know Malga is likely not going to be the pick here. So do you want to hone in on maybe getting rid of the Reaper, maybe getting rid of the Sojourn, a DPS, one of the DPSers might be really strong here for Shelby's team to give them a little bit of a leg up going into this match? Possibly.
I think you ban a tank here to save your diva if you're Shelby's team. Reaper's a solid pick too, though, like you said a second ago, makes perfect sense. They were really struggling with that Reaper last map, so let's go on ahead and get it up out of here. But that leaves, for Wawa, that leaves the diva ban as an option for them, and I think that would be a pretty smart ban to do right now.
Yeah, I think especially because that was like the Hail Mary pick here coming in from Shelby's team was going to Diva, at least trying to be a little bit of a counter to the Malga. Diva can do some pretty good work against Malga because of defense matrix, but again, on the note of playing Blizzard World, you're likely not going to see Ram, you're not going to see Malga likely. You can see some Orisa, some Zara if you want to continue to play Brawl, but more often than not, the home here is Dive, and who else but the king of Dive to be banned out? Winston, not going to be hanging with us today, out of the way. We're going to be taking him out of the fray alongside that Reaper.
You know, this actually does make sense. It kind of forces Shelby's team to keep Dixie in as well because, you know, Cloud Lemon is an incredibly strong Winston player. Well, you know, I take back what I said. Cloud Lemon is an incredibly strong Winston player, but it is looking like there is some potential for Cloud Lemon to be coming in this map. We'll get to that in a moment, though.
Yeah, we're gonna get they're getting their slow subs in. I think both these teams do have a couple of substitutes. Of course, Shelby's team has a whole lot in their favor. They have like 6 other substitutes, so they can have a whole other roster to play with if they really wanted to. Wawa Gaming do have, I believe, 2 substitutes they could go back and forth on. We've seen both of them at some point during these streams, but with that being said, it is, we do see a couple of swaps coming in, and there we go! Coming from Wawa Gaming, we're gonna be allowing Korn into the fray here on that backline role. Shelby's team having 2 subs. Synarchy, a fan favorite of the Diamond Division, alongside Cloud Lemon, as you mentioned, coming in on that tank role. But unfortunately, with that Winston banned out, it makes me wonder what will Cloud kind of default to, especially if we want to play this dive composition.
I think it's going to be a Diva default still, honestly, because Cloud Lemon's still really good at that hero, too. It's same sort of principles as what you run with Winston, just defense matrix is a little more forgiving than the Winston bubble is.
Yeah.
And with Synarchy, I haven't seen Synarchy play DPSs besides, like, that... what's called that venture when I see them come in, but it's looking like right now they're airing towards that Genji. Of course, they're the attacking team, so they could change this up.
Yeah, for sure. That comp can always kind of stop around a little bit here, but they're playing very fundamentally different compositions. Even though we have one same character, that being the Genji, right? We're doing different hit scans, different tanks, different entire backlines, right? There's no Lucio, no speed for Wawa Gaming. They want to bunker down and really stay hell-bent on this high ground to interrupt Shelby's team from jumping up with that Hazard or that Genji working in tandem with that speed boost. So I would love to see how these 2 styles kind of clash together.
I like Hazard a lot, like as a hero, generally speaking. But I think it's going to be hard to deal with this on a Brig backline playing this particular style of dive comp. You have nothing to really mitigate the cooldowns of the sports.
Oh my god, we say that, but already we take that first kill onto Monkey, so it's a 1v1 trade-off for Xerneas and the Genji. But you're down your Kiriko of your Shelby's team, and that's really not what you want. You can do a little bit of poking here, which you can see Reaver's doing, and you know what, that poking did come into a big kill onto Pigeon, right? So with Pigeon out of the way, we also are going to have that anti-nade committed onto Cloud Lemon. No heals, no Suzu either, because Xerneas was down, as you recall. So Cloud Lemon getting taken down slowly but staggered out eventually is a good time for Wawa Gaming to reset this high ground.
And I mean, that entire fight is exactly what I was talking about, essentially, right? You have nothing that can deal with Korn and Deadly Pants effectively, whereas the side of Wawa can deal with Xerneas and Paperclip very effectively because they have the anti-nades and just the general movement ability to keep up with these characters.
Yeah, for sure. Mama Monkey will be anti-aided and will go down, right? So, again, taking down early in these fights, not what Wawa Gaming wants to deal with. And here comes that engagement onto that back line. The Ana Brig working in tandem to make sure neither of them are split apart, as you should. Your engagement does come in at the same time from Slash Castle, avoiding that first take from being procced here from Shelby's team. Here comes an early bomb, though, making everyone walk away, and Xerneas does peek out into that mech explosion and taken down back into that spawn area. Pigeon, I want to say an unsung hero on this Ashe, by the way, getting a lot of cleanup kills from far away.
I mean, honestly, I think Shelby's team needs to swap off of this Hazard. You just don't have the damage mitigation of the Diva, right? The defense matrix is huge. You could be denying like all of these sleeps, all of these antis, the dynamites. You could be denying so much of what Wawa Gaming is trying to do right now. But with the Hazard, you're just simply kind of, big Scottish man, jump in and slash somebody and block.
That is a big Scottish man. He doesn't even, and Cloud Lemon doesn't even have the downpour ready yet. So Paperclip getting Anthony does get in with that sound barrier as an engagement tool, but it depletes as soon as it has been procced. Downpour committed onto that high ground. It's blocked by the Brigida, and the Bob is committed. It's on the objective, or a little bit adjacent from the objective, and it calls out reverts early on that Sojourn, and Synergy and Paperclip taken down both at the exact same time, and we only using the Nano and Rally. So at this point, all we have left for this last minute is the Blade Mirror from Momo and Synergy.
And it's a tough spot to be stuck in. You know, the overclock is online from reverts. It's going to have to be the Kitsune Rush from Xerneas. That's your that's your fight-winning ultimate here. You got to have a good Kitsune Rush and get some good value out of this.
Ideally, you also want that overclock to come out, but Pigeon, again, unsung hero, either getting opening picks or cleaning up some staggerers from Shelby's team. Reavers now has to wait for the next fight, and the next, which is going to be nearing down that latter 30 seconds of this fight, and they're going to have Bomb and Blade mirrors here.
Yeah, that is... It's a tough spot to be in if you're Shelby's team. Like I said, you've got Kitsune Rush online, but you can't make it past Pigeon's poke right now. Somebody's dying consistently. There's another one.
And two of them, in fact. No Blade, no Kitsune Rush, nothing. We had to use Overclock because it's only 10 seconds left, less than that even. And we had 3 ultimates lined up for Shelby's team that they just weren't able to use. Once again, Pigeon finding those imperative targets and making sure they get nothing. 0. Yo, wait, 0% is crazy. 0 ticks, Shadow Fang. That's huge.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like it's kind of a comp gap, honestly, right? Like, I think Wawa Gaming's comp is just significantly better than Shelby's team's comp. And the way that they're moving around the map is just significantly better too, right? Pigeon is always taking these off angles, right? We're seeing it consistently every fight. Nobody's ever having to look at Pigeon, right? They're being focused out by everybody else, so Pigeon just gets free fire, and it's really nice as a hit scan when you get to just free fire on targets, right? Oh look, there's a Kiriko for me. Oh look, there's a Genji for me. You know what I mean? It's really it's significant. It's the same thing I was saying in map 1. Everything Wawa Gaming is doing is really easy, and everything Shelby's team is doing is really hard. And we just need to flip that a little bit, right? Like, if you're Shelby's team, just start picking some stuff that's easier to pull off, right? Yeah, and, maybe I'm crazy.
No, I do believe you. I do think this is a composition diff here. There's a reason why I love that Ana Brig so much, and because you just live everything. You live every dive, especially if they're uncoordinated. I think that's also a big thing is Cloud Lemon was more often than not the one going against the Ana Brig. There was not really too much follow-up from Synergy, even from Reverts. Like, Corner and Deadly Plan's got a lot of free value just self-nade and getting that healing output. So with 4 minutes to spare, Wawa Gaming have their work cut out for them. 1 tick, 33% is all they need.
I mean, if they get 1 kill, Wawa, that's all they have to really do is get 1 kill, and they'll be able to cap this point.
Not gonna get quiet yet. Synergy not on that bench that we were talking about a little bit earlier. We didn't see it come out last round. I think this is kind of the back against the wall kind of comp we're seeing from Shelby's team to almost mirror it in its entirety. Reverse versus Pigeon, who is gonna come out to be the better hit scan. 1 headshot onto the opposing Ashe. One dynamite slam, however, forces that Suzu from Xerneas, I believe. And now Pigeon re-peeking, trying to get that headshot, but they do instead find themselves without a mech, without a tank. Revert's able to get that D-mech onto Slash Castle, and Wawa Gaming need to regroup here.
I mean, Shelby's team doing a much better job right now of just being set up, right? And look at Cloud Lemon already getting that kill on the Slash Castle. Look at how much better the Diva is doing right now just because of all the damage you're able to mitigate. And then you lose your suit, though, and you can't do that if you're Cloud Lemon. You can't lose your suit right there.
They got a little too active, got a little bit too greedy against that backline of the Ana and the Brig. Again, very deceptively fragile backline, right? They're not at whatsoever. Slash Castle deciding, you know what? I can just go Zarya and run down Cloud Lemon, who is now coming back, almost with neck halfway to it, of course. Now, we are going to charge up the Zarya a little bit here. You can see Reaper's doing a little bit of those shots, but we'll get the revenge onto Pigeon. We lose Synergy, though, so DPS, it's a DPS loss here wholeheartedly. Bob online at the exact same time. Gonna be using it early, but Revert's getting pressured out by the Genji. Can we find a little bit of reprieve? We do not. Deadly Pan's on top of the game, finding Reverse. Slash Castle forgotten about against the Bob, however. So it's going to end up being I think, a little bit of a fight win here for Shelby's team as Cloud Lemon finally comes back on that mech. And there's a couple of 1v1s happening. We got to help Monkey, but not going to be able to use that blade. Actually, I think better yet, they're going to have it for next fight.
There is a Nano Blade online for Wawa Gaming here, as well as Bob and the Rally. We could see a massive ult dump here, and we're at that moment again. Paperclip 92% on this sound barrier. Paperclip needs to get this sound barrier online before these ultimates start coming out.
Yeah, they have to. This is the last time. Not gonna have this blade, unfortunately. You can see everyone's trying to get away. Revert's only barely able, or barely gets out, but then followed up on by Monkey, who also is able to take care of Paperclip 3% before they have, of course, that sound barrier. And just like that, with the blade, the nano, and the Bob in tow, Wawa Gaming easily take that first tick, and that's all they needed for the map completion. 2-0 so far, match points already, and honestly, almost banking their way into that grand final spot.
They're getting very close, but Shelby's team isn't necessarily defeated just yet, but it is looking like they are really close to it. And I mean, that's 2 maps in a row that you've come like this close to having a sound barrier online at the perfect time, and you just barely didn't have it. I mean, that was insanely close, because if that Nano Blade gets denied, we might be seeing a draw, because it was down to the last minute, and Nano Blade was really the big ult they were banking on right there, was Wawa.
Yeah, and they knew that if they were able to focus Paperclip or go fast enough, they knew Paperclip should not have that sound barrier in time. So it all came down to pretty much an almost perfect play here, and it worked out wonderfully for Wawa Gaming. On that note, however, they're on match point. Shelby's team have their backs against the wall. They need to get a guaranteed reverse sweep here, only allowing the rest of Flashpoint, Push, and Escort in the map pool, burning through Hybrid, burning through Control already. Where do they want to go? They tried the dive. They tried the Brawl Mirror. Do we go Poke? Do we go to that Circle Royale for that third map? Well, Shadow, we talk a lot, but we are going to go to a very quick break, give these guys a little bit of time to decide where we go for the start of a reverse sweep here, or where Wawa Gaming will get that 3-0 and secure their ticket into Grand Finals. We'll be right back.
Carpe diem.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Oh my goodness, everybody. You have been here. You've been on CGL 1, 2, and 3 watching some of the greatest games of all time. Finishing out the season. This season of CGL S16 tournament series. We are here on CGL 2 covering that Diamond Lower Finals here between Wawa Gaming and Shelby's team. And in a quick 2-0 fashion, Wawa Gaming have found themselves at match point here, Shadow Fang. So Shelby's team need a guaranteed win here to start a reverse sweep. It's a tall order, but where do we go to next?
Where do we go to next? Indeed. Yeah, we're going to the divest of dive maps, I would say. And it's going to be Watch Point Gibraltar. The Winston is going to be available now, right? Wawa can't ban the Winston out again. I believe they were the ones that banned it last time, at least. Hopefully my memory's serving me properly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm getting old, so, you know, it's hard to remember these things.
No, you're right. You're right. Give us some credit. It was Wawa who did ban out Winston, right? We're talking about, okay, if you put Cloud Lemon in, he's a really good Winston player, and then we're like, oh, snap, he's not able to play Winston. But this time, granted, if Shelby's team do want to keep that Winston in, right, or to keep Cloud Lemon in, excuse me, we can play Winston, right? So on that note, Gibraltar, that is just the bread and butter, the creme de la creme of dive fundamentals. And that's where I was a little worried with you, right? Where we had just seen that kind of dive 1v1 happen on Blizzard World on the first objective. And Shelby's team were unable to really put a candle to Wawa Gaming's comp on the attack side of things. Defense looked way better, but at some point, you know, Ultimates kind of overran them. So Shelby's team decided, you know what? We had some trouble with the Dragon Blade earlier. Let's take the Genji out and make this a little bit more of an even playing field without at least one Shimada brother.
Yeah, they said, we want to trade Nano Winstons. We don't want to trade Nano Blades. Nano Winston all day long out here. Wawa gonna have their ban available here as well. And I mean, if you're Wawa, nothing's really threatening you here. Yeah, so there you go. You pick a Zenyatta ban. That makes perfect sense to me because nothing's really threatening you, so you're just kind of gonna throw away a ban here.
Yeah, you might as well, right? You know that they're comfortable on that Kiriko Lucio. You've already gotten rid of the Kiriko a little bit earlier, right, in that first round, and you're like, okay, that's fine. We can just play on a brig here. And I'm almost a little surprised. I feel like Shelby's team had a lot of good options. I think Genji was one of the good options. I also think taking out one half of that on a brig composition might also be would have also been a really good backup as well as a ban. But on that note, here are the head-to-heads, of course, the 10 the 10 people walking into this third and possible final map. A little bit of substitution, of course, from Shelby's team. Bert, ladies and gentlemen, is back, ideally on Tracer. Very good swap in. And Synarchy also coming back in. So, gonna be playing with Paperclip in that back line.
Synarchy, I didn't know they were a DPS player. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I said this in the Death Blossom cast. I didn't know they were a DPS player. I only knew them as playing Ana. So like, I thought they just came in and played Ana. I thought that was the whole thing that Synarchy did. So I'm not shocked to see them on support here because that gives you the Ana Brig backline. Synarchy very strong on that character, generally speaking. I expect to see some really good antis all throughout the course of this map. And it's looking like Cloud Lemon going to continue to opt for this D.Va, not going to go for the Winston, even with it being available here. And again, you know, D.Va is just generally speaking in a better state than Winston, I would say, at the moment. And having that mirror online and available to you is going to be really strong. Momo Monkey going to be going for that Freya, though. I kind of like Ashe over Freya, but Freya does have the, like, unlimited range on her side on Gibraltar.
I think Freya has everything. Let's just really cut it dry. Freya has everything available to her. A better coach gun, a better gun in general, better movement, better kill potential. Maybe I like her. I like Bob a little more than Bola Shot, but on that note, I want to mention here is Burtfield and Pigeon, the mirror of all time. The Tracer fights go absolutely insane on Gibraltar here. Reavers goes up to the high ground, uses that, tries to use the dynamite to bait out, of course, that Burtfield and Pigeon. Follows up, of course, with that kill. So Shelby's team working with only 4 of their players here on the defense. Wawa Gaming now looking fantastic to overtake their high ground and bully them into that server positioning for the back line. Again, waiting on their Tracer to come back, but they can disengage and re-engage whenever they feel like. Oh no.
They certainly can. Revert's taking Slashed Castle out of mech should make Wawa Gaming back up at least a little bit. And then you see the kill getting finished off there. Revert's continuing to just pepper in that damage. They don't know. They don't know. The back line is right next to them. They don't know.
they don't know. They don't know. They're right there. Self-nade used early by Korn here for Wawa Gaming to keep Deadly Pants and themselves alive a little bit longer, waiting for Slash Castle to go against this D.Va mirror against Cloud Lemon. Cloud has to disengage though, already having half HP, has to go back to the back line and get a little bit topped up before re-engaging once more. Point is halfway through the first point of Gibraltar. Very good to note, by the way. Only 2.5 minutes left, and now you can see Slash Castle just being looked at by all angles, and DM can only do so many, can only be looked at in so many different angles before inevitably you get kind of out-pressured. There's that Demon Virtual we were looking for a little bit earlier. Wawa Gaming now working with a leg up, funnily enough. Reapers taken down by Momo Monkey in the interim phase.
That is a tough person to lose in that moment because Reverts did have Bob online. That would give you a little bit of extra time. Losing Burtfield, that might do it. Wawa should probably just walk this now. Good eat from Cloud Lemon, though.
Yeah, my man Cloud Lemon went did a whole circle and then it just ate the Bolo shot. Beautiful. I love me a Nano Brigida. They were clip doing their absolute best, but of course a Nano Diva. A little bit better than a Nano Brig, unfortunately, as much as is to my dismay. Slash Castle with a beautiful E on a pulse bomb from Bert, and then they force out that Diva bomb. It drops down and actually kind of snipes Cloud Lemon right in the end phase of the Diva bomb. It's gonna be an easy cap here for the course of Wawa Gaming, and they have another 4 minutes to go for it.
And yeah, I mean, it all really started with that kill onto Reverts, right? That's kind of the head of the snake with this Shelby's team. If you take down Reverts, the bulk of the damage is gone, and you don't have to deal with dynamite. You're able to play significantly more aggressively at that point.
Ooh, I love when Briggs get active. Yes, paperclip, go at it. Has a rally, giving the packs to their Ana. Beautifully done. Now trying to engage on that Diva and that back line. Not going to be able to. Does get anti-naded in their effort to keep up the back line. In the meantime, Reavers drops down, is now the target of choice for Slash Castle, and suddenly you're down your Ashe. You're also down 50% charge to a Bob. Cloud Lemon having been demoted a little bit earlier in the fight here and taken down by Momo Monkey on this Freya with another Bolo shot to boot. Might just let it loose against the backline in the entryway.
And I mean, honestly, Burtfield doing a good job of just stalling out the cart there. Gonna give Shelby's team enough time to turn this into one more fight. But no ult's really online for them. And there's the Bolo shot and bomb are gonna be online for Wawa Gaming here.
And there's that Bolo shot connected onto the anti-nated Reverts, and then the follow-up onto Paperclip. I mean, it is just as simple as that. Well-timed Bolo shot during the rotation, interrupting the re-engage from the defenders, and Shelby's team had enough. Here are a couple of swaps happening. You saw before we go to the replay. Reverts is off the Ashe, not even thinking Bob is worth it. Now goes over to Cassidy.
Yeah, Revert's just kind of looking for answers right now, right? you're still going to deal with the fact that you're going to be heavily dove, but now you're on a bulkier character. I think that's the Cass answer here. Just be a little bit bulkier so when you get dove, you can live longer. Also, you know, you can still do pretty solid damage from this far away. You know, you do about 15 damage from here. If you back up any further, though, you're going to do like 5 damage a shot. It's really disheartening when you hit people from a long way away with the Cassidy.
Yeah, man, we did a whole comp swap here, and I love it, because round point 3, great for close quarters, which is why Reaver's got like such a beautiful 2K in his favor. Right in the beginning of this fight, right? So Wawa Gaming go over to the Zarya and the Reaper composition. Now can be putting a lot of pressure onto Cloud Lemon. You have, of course, that Reaper likely on the back line. They also have that front line being given so much charge to that Zarya at the exact same time. Nano online from Corn here, and the Nano comes in from Snooki first onto Cloud Lemon. We go up, look for somebody to single out, and it's going to be a trade-off of Pigeon and Burtfield in the meantime. Nano now committed from Corn onto somebody. I can't really see who has a Nano here, unfortunately, but Slash Castle is trying to get that nice high charge and putting that pressure back onto Cloud Lemon. Not going to really happen, though, as Cloud is able to regroup and still has Bomb as a safety net.
They certainly do here. Revert's going to have that Deadeye online, and Paperclip's going to have the sound barrier. And the bomb is going to come out from Cloud Lemon here. Does catch on to Deadly Pants, so that's pretty useful, I'd say.
I mean, without Deadly Pants to speed them out either, Slash Castle kind of just became a sitting duck for Paperclip and company, and they're going to get a couple of extra little bit of pickings here on Corn and Momo Monkey as well. Only 2 minutes left, though. This is really good defense here for Shelby's team so far.
Yes, it absolutely has been. You know, Cloud Lemon not allowing Slash Castle to really get close enough to melt them out of that mech. And then Reverts is just sitting on this high ground, just peppering away on this Cassidy, and has the Deadeye available at any moment.
And Deadeye also has the Deadeye perk as well, giving him a little bit of extra stability and healing while using it. But while I say all that, Reverse does get kind of jumped on by Momo Monkey. Of course, followed up by Pigeon and the Lucio. Slash Castle going against the Diva and gets the Graviton Surge onto poor old Synergy. And look how close the point is to full completion. Cloud Lemon retreats, goes right into, swaps to the Zarya, but it's all for naught. I mean, Deadeye doesn't even get anyone because he gets slept right out of it. 1 minute and 8 seconds. That's absolutely perfect timing here for Wawa Gaming. Now they have 3 points. They have extra time. All they gotta do is hold first.
I mean, I have to be honest, watching that last fight from Revert's perspective there, it looks like the side of Shelby's team didn't know what was happening, right? Because Revert's drops down right into a Lucio and a Reaper, so I guess nobody spotted that before they were actually rotating onto them like that. And it seems like that's been happening a lot over the course of this series, quite honestly, where Shelby's team just doesn't know. They can't predict what Wawa are going to do at any point in time. They're just falling right into the trap that Wawa is setting for them over and over again.
Well, ask and you shall receive. We have Cloud Lemon, at least in the attacker spawn so far, hovering over that Winston. And this is kind of like the average stat line, I'm going to say, for most escort maps. It's kind of like very low numbers up until the very end. I think that's when you saw Momo Monkey and Pigeon get a lot more value in their KDAs, right? So, with that being said, not too shabby. The 9 deaths from Burtfield makes a little bit of sense, only because you are Tracer. You're kind of forced onto that payload duty on Tracer. So, with that being said, you're kind of the target of choice more often than not for the attackers. But now that Wawa Gaming are defending here, Slash Castle back on that Diva. Looking forward to that Winston, I think so.
I'm definitely looking forward to some Winston gameplay. I love the simple soft dive up and drop over and over again. I find it to be a very fun game.
It's a nice little like tempo, soft dive, get resources out, now hard dive when they have nothing. That dynamite was going to Narnia, and now we're gonna try to fight on this bridge here. Good bubble here, does help that backline and Reaver stay alive, not Reaver, excuse me. Or it actually does help Reaver stay alive a little bit longer here. Synergy does get the D-Mech onto Slash Castle, and what a follow-up from Cloud Lemon at the exact same time. Now they're able to push in, but no one's on the point here, Shad. I'm just letting you know that right now. There we go. Now we're moving.
The cart is moving slowly but surely. It's going to get basically to the other side of this car wash here, as Cloud Lemon doing a great job on this Winston of just stuffing the enemy team and then getting right back up to the top of this blue box. I don't know. I love seeing some good old-fashioned Winston.
This is a good old-fashioned Winston. They know where to go. They know how to position. Now they do kind of lose out. I lied. Reverts in the face of death. Takes care of Moment Monkey in the meantime. There is going to be the D-Mech onto Slash Castle at the exact same time, and now Shelby's team looking great as they are. Oh, why are my Anna and Briggs so divorced? They were nowhere near each other. Poor Corn kind of called down the open by the Ash.
It's like one of those, oh, what do we have here type moments, you know? You just
Yeah.
suddenly pop up to the high ground, and now I have an Anna that I can just take care of. And you can see the discrepancy right now because Synarchy is like 90% on this nano boost, and Corn is only 56%. So far, the positioning for Shelby's team has been a lot more elite. Again, I think it's a lot easier to run Dive Reinhardt, as I call Winston, because it's real easy to locate a big blue bubble.
Low-key, it really is. A big old blue bubble will give you a little bit of protection, and with that good old perk as well, you can get healing inside of that bubble. But finally, some reprieve here for Wawa Gaming. They take out the problem being Revert. Of course, Pigeon now on the Cassie here. 50% to that Deadeye. Monkey, of course, having the bullet shots pretty much locked and loaded so quickly. Same thing with Slash Castle having that secondary life of the Diva Bomb. That being said, we hear a catch, and it has been caught by Pigeon, and there's the bullet shot on the back line, and it's a trade-off of the Sentry. Both DPS for both supports. Who will come out on top here with the Bob now out to play from Reverse? I mean, it is just a long fight, but the backline surviving as much as possible while Burtfield is just on this Anna like white on rice. Primal on the Brig forces that rally out too.
I mean, that's a pretty good trade. You know, I'll take it. I'll take the rally. You know what I mean? A great play from Cloud Lemon right there, not dying, you know, valuing their life. Hopefully. Okay, it seems like they are going to value their life and not die there. And you allow your team to have a nano rally, whereas the side of Wawa only has this nano online. But, you know, a nano diva can still be a real problem.
Oh, there's that Winston Nano. It's a classic. Now singling out the Cassie on the low ground. Kind of loses him in the fray, but able to find the Cowboy in the meantime. Now Cloud Lemon has pretty much gotten, what, 20% towards another Primal. And now basically single-handedly keeping that backline away from carrying Slash Castle in the meantime, in the face of danger. Now, this point is basically almost coming to full completion. There is also going to be the D-Mech, the Dynamite onto the Baby Diva, and a reinstate of about a minute and a half, so giving 4 minutes in a time bank here for Shelby's team.
And I mean, just great job from Shelby's team so far. They seem to be a lot more comfortable on this Winston dive. Now again, I don't know if that's simply because, like I said, it's a lot easier to just find a bubble and just throw everything into that bubble location than it is to try and figure out where your diva's done flown off to 3 seconds later. But, you know, that could certainly be helpful. Side of Wawa are going to have this Deadeye online for this next fight, though. Revert's getting close on that Bob.
Yeah, but they're not going to have Slash. They're not going to have a Ramatra. They're not going to really have any frontline pressure. So you see the Pulsam coming in. It does force that backline away from the forward position they once had, now backing away towards that spawn area. We do seek out Pigeon. He does get kind of pincered by the Diva and the Winston. Bob now here to play. Same thing with the Malga. Good sleep, but I don't care. Here comes the Deadeye, only getting the Bob. And I mean, as I said, it's 3 minutes left, and yeah, I think you mentioned it best. Shelby Gaming are in their bag with this Winston composition. Sometimes it just comes down to playing a classic comp like that.
Hey, you know, like this team has won the Diamond Division 2 straight years. And this was one of the comps they were really good at in those 2 years. They were really good at the Winston Dive. They were really good at the Malga Rush. Those are the 2 comps I vividly remember them playing very, very well.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that we're now, thankfully we are going to overtime rounds here, but what's not my favorite, I'm sure Wawa Gaming feel the same way, is they have a big time disadvantage against Shelby's team. Shelby's team has done basically the impossible. They were able to get always not only to 3rd point, but also get an insane amount of time in the time bank here. I mean, 3 minutes to only 1 minute and 8 seconds. That is abysmal to work with if you're Wawa. On the side of Shelby's, though, they are so comfortable they're going back to Winston.
I think this is the right answer, too. I like this. Now, again, somebody might look at the comp that Wawa is walking out on right now and say, you can't possibly play Winston into that. I say, let me try first, and then say it after it doesn't work. Because on a map like this, these characters can't follow you around like that. Reaper can, but, like, Malga's going to have to be a good, decent ways away from you, and you can just simply fall off the high ground, tase for a little minute, drop your bubble, and then jump out. And then they can't really do anything with you when you leave, because these aren't like ranged characters, really.
I mean, we're going for something very special here. We have Lifeweaver, Moira, Malga, Cassidy, and Reaper from Wawa Gaming. And they're going to attack. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Everyone's dead. Everyone's dead. Everyone's dead. Everyone has basically been annihilated by Wawa Gaming, and I will guarantee you Shelby's team were not expecting that, and that is the easiest way to clear at least half of this point here.
Yeah, it was the pedal. It was the pedal. That's the reason it wasn't expected, because nobody plays Lifeweaver, right? So once you have the pedal and all 5 of you just stand on it and go up to high ground like that, that's exactly how that just happened.
No, for sure, and thankfully they all do come back. Wait for respawn, the spawn room being literally right around the corner from those big old barricades. Now Reaver's on this high ground getting free value. Momo Monkey tries, trying to go to that high ground, but I mean, you get turned around on by that diva and you get shut down immediately. So you're not really able to take this Ashe off of the high ground whatsoever. Losing Pigeon at the same time, 2 DPS down for Wawa Gaming. Slash Castle is still trying to use that cardiac overdrive for that little bit extra overhealth and lifesteal, but with everyone kind of really just tearing it down, it's not going to work for too long. Just the backline of Moira and Lucio trying to stay alive, and we have Monkey back here, but there's a bomb right in my face, and look at this, boom! And there's a Tracer, but it did not matter. Wawa Gaming only trickling in the last half of this overtime fight, but really, that's all that she wrote, but they did get it a pretty good distance into the first points.
Yeah, they cheesed their way into that first fight win. Like I said, that was a great Lifeweaver pedal. That was just a really smart thing that, who's going to think that that's about to happen? So, kudos to Wawa getting that fight win early like that. But then Shelby's team recovers immediately, swaps over to a more mobile backline, going with the Kyrie Lucio. And then Cloud Lemon back on that diva, just continuing to be, honestly, they've been a menace on that diva the whole series when they've actually played it. They just didn't really play it on Blizzard World for whatever reason.
Yeah, well, in Blizzard World, it was more difficult for some reason, right? They had a diva mirror, but Slash Castle kept getting just kept getting the leg up every single time against Cloud Lemon, and that's why they were able to full hold, right? But now, Winston. We love Winston. We love Winston so much. I love Winston so much on Gibraltar. Wawa Gaming, though, back on Diva, they have the Echo that you mentioned a little bit earlier, not on Blizz, but now on Gibraltar. I love it, especially if maybe you're not really banking on Shelby's team playing a hit scan, maybe. So maybe we can see Momonkey get a lot of that free range on the character.
This Pharah is fascinating, right? Because I think it's going to be difficult to get high value out of it, because you're dealing with a diva, you have an Echo, and this Ashe, not to mention an Ana also, who can just snipe you out of the air very quickly. But it looks like Reverts did swap back over to the Ashe, so disregard what I was just saying.
Yeah, I like it. I'm glad we go back to the Ashe, but I don't like, though, I know Wawa Game we need to play in the high ground, but they don't have the luxury of time nor space, right? So with them giving these guys free progress, it comes down to somebody to battle it out against Burtfield. And while we're distracted on that high ground, Reverse gets a free fire from the low ground and take down Momo Monkey in the meantime. Wawa Gaming looking so different here. They're down 1, they're backing up basically to that golden box of victory for Shelby's team, and they're going to continue to get pushed back here almost with little to no effort really coming in from Shelby's team.
That is true right now. Cloud Lemon with this Winston dive just forcing the entirety of Wawa off of this high ground. And I mean, now you need to deal with Pigeon. If Pigeon gets dealt with, you're going to be able to cap this point relatively quickly, but you have to deal with it, and that was so good right there. Reverts getting a second one, too.
Yo, wait, Reverts? Yo, where's my Reverts spec? Oh my god! Reverts just killed 3 like it was nothing. That's it. We're going to map number 4. Kudos, GG's, shake my hand. Shelby's team on the... Oh my god, they did it. They did it. They were going to go to a round number... map number 4. Excuse me. We had the start of a reverse sweep here for Shelby's team. All we need to do is play Winston. That's all we need to do. Beautiful. And now if you're Shelby's, right? Or if you're Wawa, excuse me, you're kind of kicking yourself in the foot a little bit. You're kind of kicking yourself in the back a little bit, right? Because you kind of, in the very beginning, wasted a Zenyatta ban. That could have easily been used for a Brig ban, an Ana ban, forcing maybe even a Lucio ban, anything like that. Suddenly, you're kind of on, or even a D.Va ban, right? You're kind of on this mental decline, losing map 3, and Wawa Gaming and Shelby's team are on the mental ascent, winning map 3.
Yeah, they certainly are, but with it being the case that it has to be a reverse sweep for Shelby's team, Wawa now has the choice of every single map. But Reverts seems to be heating up on that hit scan now, and that can be a real problem because Reverts has consistently been like an incredibly strong DPS in this tier over the last 3 seasons.
Yo, Reverts, I mean, the coach gun, I think we're going to see in the replays hopefully, the coach gun on top and just killing 2, it was like butter smooth. Not a single missed shot, double headshot to clean up the Ana. I mean even here, look, you can see Momonki was strafing to the right, and here's a coach gun up to the top, body shot, headshot, boom, body shot, headshot, boom, both dead immediately, completely taking out any DPS from Wawa's Gaming. Now, Shelby's team, as you mentioned, they get the map win here, but they now lose the map picks and also first bans to Wawa Gaming from here on out, and they have to be okay with that.
Yeah, and I mean, we're left with 2 brawl-style maps, essentially, in Flashpoint and Push. You know, that's all you've got, right? So you're left with basically entirely maps where the Malga is a formidable foe. And again, like, I think Shelby's team is really good at the Malga style composition. They might just have to walk out on it to start with on this map and just play that uber aggressive style.
And if you're Shelby's team, you know that they want to play Malga here. You know that Control is basically Flashpoint is the same thing as Control. It's a little bit faster, but same idea of playing a point right here. There's not much rotation. There's not much movement around that objective. You know that Malga was that Malga Reaper, was a problem earlier, and you know Wawa Gaming are going to want to go for it. But Wawa Gaming, again, they have the map pick, and they also have the first ban. Speaking of map picks, where else do we go? But basically, start what we had done so well on. We have Flashpoint coming up on deck here, and I mean, this just kind of starts wandering into what we were talking about. You're gonna play Malga ideally, and you also have that first ban. It's so much smarter to do a protection to make sure your Malga is protected here and not go for an offensive ban.
I completely agree with you. That's exactly what I was going to say too, quite honestly, is just don't let the Malga get banned. Ban out a D.Va, ban out an Orisa, hell, ban out a Reinhardt, you know, if you really don't care what it is. Just ban something in that tank role so that you can save your Malga. That's got to be the move here.
I agree with you. Like, it has to be. Wawa Gaming, I mean, you have 30 seconds to decide, but I'm sure they've already, like, boom, Malga called it a day. Because that's what I would do. If I'm the one that's on match point yet again, and I know for at least 2 of these maps, we had really good Malga play. Boom. Take care of, you can ban Orisa for all I care, D.Va, Junker, any Hazard, anyone. Ban anyone, just protect that Malga. On the note though, if Shelby is expecting that, there it is, yeah, D.Va ban. On the other note though, Shelby's team have their work cut out for them. They know, okay, they're gonna ban D.Va here. What do we do in response? And they haven't really touched, besides a Cassidy, too much of these targeted bans. Maybe they want to go for a Venture ban, maybe a Tracer ban. That could also be some really good ones because they've already expended the Reaper on that note.
Yeah, they have. That's a tough one to lose. I almost think you ban like a Kiriko, right? Because we've seen that you like to run the Moira Lucio version.
Yeah.
So maybe get rid of the Kiriko here. You could do something like that. I don't know though. That's all I can really think of at the moment is a Kiriko ban. Everything else feels like nah, we can play that too, actually, kind of ban.
Yeah, a Kiriko or a Lucio ban could go crazy here for Shelby's team. As we do see the timer tick down, and they have only a couple of more seconds to decide where they want to go towards this ban. I also think maybe, you know, going for a targeted ban of the Tracer again, maybe Synarchy's Venture. We just see that a little bit earlier on Blizzard Road to get a little bit of value. But, I mean, really, it sucks kind of mentally to be in the position of Shelby's because, yes, you got a map win, yes, but you don't get first ban, you don't even get the map pick, you're kind of at the mercy of your opponent from here on out, and you have to do so much more outplaying just because of that to get to map 4, or win map 4, and then get to like map 5 and get the reverse sweep. It's taxing, it's mentally taxing, and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe mentals are going a little bit adrift, up and down, but they gotta keep it cool, they gotta keep their nerves straight.
I mean, this team's won this tier the last 2 seasons, so I think
Yeah.
they're about as good as you can be, you know. Like, you got Cloud Lemon, Xerneas, and Reverts. I know for sure have been on those teams. I think the other players are new, but you know, they should be able to convey that pretty effectively as we're still waiting on this ban to come through. I'm with you though. I really think that Kiriko Lucio could be a really strong pick here, either one of the two, because, you know, we've seen the inclination to play that. But Shelby's team actually going to go for the Moira ban, so they're wanting to probably err more towards the Kiriko Lucio instead.
Moira ban, the Big 25, it's a real ban, everyone. I'm glad we're doing it here, because Moira has gone too far on for Suravasa, on New Junk City, on Flashpoint in general, with little to no repercussions. I'm tired of it. I'm glad we've done it. We pulled the trigger, we ripped the Band-Aid off, get rid of the Moira, and now again, you're not gonna allow Wawa Gaming to play that Moira Lucio, that Moira anything. Not gonna work. You gotta either play the... Actually, I don't think there's any either. You have to play Kiri Lucio here, right? You just kind of, on Flashpoint of all things, bruh, you need to mirror it.
I think that has to be the answer here. I don't see what else you could possibly play, as Wawa does have a substitution, Lord Shroom coming in for their side. Synarchy still staying in on that support line though, so I'm guessing Synarchy probably going to be the Kiriko player. Maybe they'll be the Lucio player. I don't know. It seems like Synarchy's the more flex style player, so they might opt for that Lucio pick here. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, usually Paperclip is on the one on Lucio, but I mean, you know, I will say Paperclip on Lucio has always kind of been a little bit lagging on that like sound barrier, and so hopefully they can get some more consistently paced sound barriers against Deadly Pants. If of course I'm expecting that while we're giving your trolling, I'm looking at Shelby's team right now. Cloud Lemon already hovering over that Malga. That's a very familiar pick here, and I mean, as their comps do kind of start rounding out and everything, it is looking very similarly to a mirror here. I think Lord Shroom, I think she's going to go to Kiriko after maybe speed boosting out of spawn. Even though we do have speed boost out of spawn anyway, but I digress. Yeah, there it is. Double speed. They don't start like that though.
No, it doesn't indeed. Now see, I like Wawa's comp better here because it's the same thing I said on, you know, map number 1. You don't have the frontline damage here to go on to Slash Castle.
My god, Slash just goes so fast. He's always the first one going in, charging in. They know that Lemon can have the stomp soon enough, and somehow, some way, wait a minute, Shelby's team, they have woken up here, Shadowfang. They didn't even charge in yet. They just got the neutral pick onto Deadly Pants first, and then boom, that's everyone else kind of falling down like dominoes from Wawa Gaming. They're going to try to stall this out, but Lord Shroom and Slash Castle are not going to be able to live with just the Cardiac Overdrive.
Yeah, you remember how I said earlier that Shelby's team was just always shooting like the wrong targets, it seemed like? Well, right there, they catch a Lucio out early, and that's one of the strengths of Malga as well, is you can get some you can get some distance kills, you know. Malga does some pretty solid damage from range, and we saw it right there with that Lucio kill coming through so early.
35% already. Very fast points here. Suzu used early on. Cloud Lemon, unfortunately, not going to live it, however. So it's up to Burtfield to find at least some sort of trade-off. But with, of course, everyone looking their way and that recall used early on, you kind of have to disengage a little bit here. But there's a re-engagement after some resources have now been refulfilled for the Tracer. Now we have this Sojourn and, of course, that Tracer pretty much clearing the field. Reverts has... Okay, yo, Reverts, I mean, you said it earlier. Once you start, like, warming up on DPS, I think that's going to be a big problem against Reverts.
And I mean, right there, that fight, the DPS line, both of them just being absolutely dominant right now, not allowing Momo Monkey to get going on this Reaper, forcing that Wraith, and then immediately following up with the kill every time. They don't know. They lack the information.
Oh.
They no longer lack the information. That was a tragic moment for Burtfield.
They didn't know, and then they understood very quickly. Oh, they understand it now. That hinder in real time, you can see how impactful it is against a Tracer. Now everyone's kind of going over against the Sojourn, but mind you, I think it was just Paperclip and maybe a little bit of Lordstrom that were trying to hone in on reverts, but there wasn't really any solid follow-up from anyone else from Wawa Gaming, which is why they all staggered out and were basically open pickings for Burtfield.
And that's the strength of the Tracer, right? The thing that was happening on map number 1 was Wawa was never splitting, so Burtfield never had an opening to do anything. But on this map, they've been splitting significantly more in these mid fights and allowing Burtfield to pick them off one by one. There are a lot of ults online in this fight. I imagine we're going to start with the Kitsune Rush, and here it comes.
Oh, the dual Kitsune Rush is now intersecting on that entryway, but again, reverts in that backline always find at least one, and with the cage fight also being committed from Slash Castle, it does assist in the elimination onto Cloud, but I mean, it's just a little bit too late there. Great sound barrier from Paperclip to make sure that everyone stays alive in the face of danger, but Wawa Gaming unfortunately just are unable to, somehow, some way, they're unable to come up on that like tempo that's being set by Shelby's team.
And hey, I talked about it on the first 2 maps. I'm going to talk about it now in the opposite direction. Deadly Pants, 95% on that sound barrier. That was the difference in the fight right there. Paperclip was 5% faster building that sound barrier, and that's the reason Shelby's team won that fight. Like, the sound barrier exchange is so important in these comps.
Well, now we have an aggressive sound barrier coming from Deadly Pants. That's going to be coupled with, of course, that Deadeye inside the cage fight. It does find only Cloud Lemon, who is unfortunately unable to leave his own cage fight, but the follow-up is very much there for Wawa Gaming, finally getting a little bit of reprieve in these fights which have been going so kind of wrong for them for the better half of this Saravasa map. Now, finally, they're going to get the point, and they ideally should be able to get a good amount of stall on it, especially in reverse bottom, get that overclock. Oof, I don't know.
Yeah, you're in a tough spot because you got the overclock and the pulse bomb, and you burnt all your ultimates in that fight if you're Wawa, right? You don't have anything. You have nothing to speak of. And if this fight gets won by Shelby's team, Synarchy is going to pass up Lord Shroom in that charge, so you need to win this fight for Shelby's team.
Reverse comes in with the overclock, knowing that we already used that sound barrier early on. However, Burtfield goes down, pulse bomb stuck onto Pigeon, so it's a 1v1 trade of the DPS. Reverse trying to at least secure a kill onto Slash Castle. It does come through, but there's a Reaper and a Kiriko and a Lucio kind of in your way of the Pin and Lord Shroom, who have finally been able to build up to that Kitsune Rush for this next engagement. Now they regroup here, waiting for some extra forces to come back.
Wawa doing a great job of just playing this safe, right? Not overextending into any of the ranges of reverts or Burtfield, and just waiting, right? Because now you've done that, and you have the Kitsune advantage, and here it is. There it is. Wawa Gaming just taking this fight easily.
Oh, wow. The Kitsune Rush from coming very perfectly timed from Lordstrom, I will say. The damage output was just too much for Cloud and Lemon to bear, and then Burtfield was basically, I think they said, Pigeon, you're on Tracer duty, and now Burtfield hasn't really been able to get as much value as he once had before.
This is going to be another tough fight for Shelby's team because it's just lining up perfectly for Wawa. They've got a Cage and a Death Blossom online, and you have a whole lot of nothing that can really deal with that. Maybe Synarchy can get an early Kitsune here to try and do something. But you can see they're already engaging, looking for this Cage Blossom.
Yeah, they're trying to force these guys to rotate to more uncomfortable positioning, but the cage fight does come in either way, and it kind of just takes down 2 in the cage fight. Classic combination's been there since day 1 of Malga's release 2 years ago. And now, I mean, the Kitsune Rush, unfortunately, from Synarchy was unable to find that value within that cage fight, and you're allowing basically Wawa Gaming to start snowballing this tempo and advantage back in their favor.
They are about to build up to their sound barrier as well, which is going to be very key, right? Paperclip doing a good job of keeping pace with Deadly Pants on this sound barrier charge, and you're going to need it, honestly. You're going to need to mirror this sound barrier if you really want to win this fight. It's such a strong ultimate.
Well, there's that cage fight, and they kind of take out, or at least they're trying to pressure out this Reaper, knowing that all you do is TP in, and Momo Monkey doesn't have the Wraith form either. Unfortunately, we do lose a Kiriko in the meantime. There's a cage, of course, a slam from the back from Cloud Lemon. Now here comes the one from Slash Castle, and I think just from the way these two Magos are duking it out, it does look like, ooh, Pulse? No, it does find Pigeon anyway, but 70% is not too shabby for Wawa Gaming.
It isn't, and Wawa's still able to re-engage this. They have the sound barrier if they want to continue fighting this aggressively, but now it's probably smart to just, back off once you get your percentage in.
Yeah, they're trying to get to at least 99%, which is, of course, not gonna make it. Oh, nice. Good, we make it, barely. Lord Shroom able to edge out to 99% to guarantee an overtime fight for this next engagement.
And yes, great job there from Wawa. Not burning those ultimates. Both teams have their sound barriers online, but Wawa has the Kitsune as well as the Deadeye. And this is going to be tough. You're going to have to do something early to get an early kill if you're Shelby's team to try and win this fight out.
Comes down to how these Lucios play these sound barriers, right? Deadly Pants and Paper both have it in the back pocket, but Lordstrom knows that, she has the advantage, so she's going to use her rush early, knowing that Synergy doesn't have one to match it. The sound barrier does get used in replacement, but it's not enough against the collaborative forces of Wawa Gaming and one Kitsune Rush. That being said, Paperclip having used the sound barrier, meaning we're not going to have it for the next fight, especially against this upcoming cage fight and Blossom combination.
And it's just, this is more what I was expecting when I saw these two compositions, right? You don't have the Cage Blossom available to you, right? Burtfield has to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge all of these different abilities coming out from the side of Wawa just to try and get one kill. And in the meantime, your front line's getting rolled over.
Yeah, heavy on the rolled over part. Cloud Lemon, I don't even had a chance to reset the team here. I kind of got ran up on by Wawa Gaming in like a very quick fashion. And of all places to end, Ruins? Oh, this is going to be make or break for Shelby's team.
I mean, it certainly is. They do have some ultimates available to them, but they don't have sound barrier. And they don't have Cage Blossom, right? They have Cage Overclock. I mean, that's cool, Yeah, you've got a Kitsune Rush, that's cool, but you don't have a definitive I pop this and we're winning this fight when I pop this ultimate.
Oh, here comes the back. Oh my god, it's the back line. It's the back line. There it is. They're all in it. There's one down. There's two down. There's three down. And Cloud Lemon tries to get in there, get the cardiac overdrive damage reduction, but again, Synarchy's Kitsune Rushers just continuously get no value because of Slash and Momo.
It's the same issue that Shelby's team has been having all series, right? They show why they're playing these compositions because they're so good at these characters. But if Burtfield was playing Reaper right now instead of Tracer, I think this would be a much closer map right now.
I'm inclined to agree. I think Reaper's just so good and Tracer is just struggling a little bit, especially again, this Cassie has really just been on Bird's tail all day. Deadeye finds Synarchy lacking a little bit out of cover. We take Lordstrom out of the way, but when everyone coincides inside that cage fight, we're in overtime fight, and that's it, Shadow. There's no way for anyone to touch, and overtime goes down to nothing. It's a 3-1 on Saravasa, and a 3-1 reflection in the series for Wawa Gaming. Now getting their rematch against Death Blossom. Synarchy even going, go beat DB for us. We patched the torch. That's what I love to see.
It is nice to see the good sportsmanship here, and I mean honestly, just good comps from the side of Wawa Gaming throughout this entire series. They know how to play synergistic compositions. That's the best way that I can put it. Everything they were playing all made perfect sense to me for this whole series.
I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, the only thing they kind of got a little bit stuffed up on was that dive, that Winston, and we know that that's really what Shelby's team are really good at playing is that dive, and when they're able to do so, when they're enabled to do so. But when they're forced into these amalgam mirrors or these brawl compositions, they unfortunately just can't really hold a candle to that Malga Reaper synergy from the side of Wawa Gaming. Even here, yeah, they did lose out on the Diva Mirror, but that's only because we did see Slash go back over to that Zarya at the very tail end and force a brawl once more right in the face of Shelby's team. With that being said, though, again, Shelby's team bowing out at 3rd place. No longer the crowned champion of the past 3 years. Now only the humble 3rd. Shelby's team have taken up the mantle, and now they must go and face Death Blossom in the grand finals.
Oh, grand finals rematch of round 2. I don't know, the way Wawa is looking, I think it's got to be closer than a 3-0 the last time that they played each other, because again, this is a really strong team that I saw here tonight.
Yo, it has to be more than 3-0. It's a best of 7. First of 4, best of 7 grand finals for all of our divisions here. So we're going to have a nice long game next week. We're going to get real nice and personal with Wawa Gaming and Death Blossom. But with that being said, as a little recap, you saw everything. We have all of our maps that we played on. The closest, the overtime rounds of Gibraltar having been used, the round 3 and 4, and that was the one map Shelby's team were able to kind of knock out of the park, honestly. But Suravasa was where they kind of fell back down. And here's a quick little refresher on the band phases at the same time. I would say like 80% of these bands are really good. The Zenyatta, I think, was... I'll say it, and I think you and I both agree here. I think that was kind of the biggest throw pick for Wawa Gaming that we could have seen on Gibraltar.
Yeah, they're doing a little bit of trolling. You know, you're up 2-0. You think that you've got this team in the bag. You know what I'm saying? We're feeling ourselves a little bit. So we're going to ban Zenyatta. I'm surprised they didn't ban Roadhog. You know, that's usually the we've got this ban.
or a Rhine. Just do a little something, something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, on that note, though, as always, we're going to try to get you some interviews, right? We want to get you guys that, of course, winners interview from Wawa Gaming, kind of poke their brains, especially about Gibraltar. Y'all got a little too confident, and I know it. I know how the outstanding players are. But we'll also have, hopefully, the luxury of talking with someone from Shelby's team, kind of give us the rundown of how, not even just this season, but maybe the previous seasons have treated them. So, with that being said, we'll cut to a very quick break, get everyone set up for some interviews, and then we'll close it out. Guys, listen, it has been a fantastic 4-map series, a 3-1 here for none other than Wawa Gaming, and I am happy to bring out Deadly Pants and Pigeon here to kind of walk us through that 4-map series. A slight hiccup, guys, I did see on Gibraltar, so I'm going to start you guys off on the hot seat. Gibraltar, guys, what happened? The Zenyatta ban, I mean, everything that happened. What was the mental going into Gibraltar and exiting Gibraltar? Whoa. Yes.
The reason we banned Zen is like, we didn't really feel like anything were major issues. Like, they banned a DPS, so like the main thing is like the Tracer, right? And we want to save our Diva ban for when we actually run Malga comp, like we did in Saravasa. So there's like, we already banned Monkey, so like we're not really gonna ban any tanks here. We don't care enough to ban any of the supports, so just like ban, you know, freaking Zen, because no one's gonna play him. Might as well give us on the supports more options to choose from.
True.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly what it seemed like. And I mean, you know, from the beginning of the series, it seemed like y'all were just dead set on playing that Malka composition.
Yeah, you know
Would you say that that's like your, absolute A tier? This is our comp. We're just wanting to run this Malga as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, we're definitely good at it. We're really good at like running at the enemy team. And it's also good because of the, like, Burt feels really good on Tracer, so if we can go on their team faster than the Tracer can go on us, we kind of just win before it can kill us. It's kind of how our thought process went.
I mean, it seemed to be really, really effective from what I could see. Like, every single time Burtfield was trying to engage on the back line, you know, Slash Castle's already back there slamming on somebody. So,
yeah.
I mean, I said it over and over again. Like, if there's a Tracer trying to pellet your back line, you don't have the front line damage to try and do anything about this Malga just walking at you super aggressively. So that is what happened. And now, though, you know, looking ahead to the next match, you're going to have to play Death Blossom. It looks like it was a 3-0 the last time y'all played against them. How is that going to be different this time? What are y'all coming with, if you can give us any sort of secrets before the Grand Finals actually happens?
I feel like the maps it was a lot closer than it looks. Like, if you look like at least like the first two maps on Death Blossom, it was actually pretty close. Like, I think we can pull this around. I think the biggest thing we're banking on is the patch notes on Tuesday nerfing Symmetra and Zarya. Like, I think if Blizzard gods bless us with nerfing those two and Beam, word that starts with people, I think we're fine, you know? Like, I think we're chilling, you know?
I've been writing emails.
Not the emails.
Yep. Trying to get those sim nerfs in.
Well,
apparently I'm muted. What does that mean?
Oh.
Are you muted? I hear you just fine.
I hear you, bro.
Fair enough. I just got a DM.
Oh, no, I hear you just fine. We are on a 2-minute delay, but otherwise, yes, you guys were really fantastic, genuinely, today. And even showcasing the dive mirror against Shelby's team. you guys more often than not had that win, especially on Blizzard World, I will say. I mean, that was just a really masterclass in holding and then finding the advantage of that Zara swap. Oh, chef's kiss, beautiful from you guys. I will say, it is a little bit late, and I don't want to hold you guys for too long, and you guys can go celebrate your victory and then lock in for that first of 4 grand finals. I'll give you guys one last question, of course, that being the shout-out question. Who do you each want to give a shout-out to on the broadcast?
I'm gonna say the Gobbler.
Yep. Yep.
It's the Gobbler.
I'm gonna say something different here. I'm gonna go different route on the shoutouts here. I'm gonna say R.I.P. the Gobbler from Wawa as well.
I mean RIP.
Okay. Gone, bro.
It's gone. It's gone. It's December. It's over.
I forgot.
It's over.
You're right.
We held a funeral and
RIP.
everything. It was really sad, but
No, you didn't. Did you have a picture? Oh my god, let me stop.
no, there's no flash photography allowed, so you had to be there.
I love you guys. Alright, well, rest in peace to the Gobbler, but you guys are not dead yet. You will carry on the Gobbler's name in the Grand Finals, right? So I can't wait to see you guys with the Grand Finals. First of 4, best of 7, so get that stamina up. Get those VOD reviews in. Y'all are gonna need it against Death Blossom. So with that being said, I'm gonna let you guys go and enjoy your victory, okay?
Alright, thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys. I always love talking to them because they always mention the Gobbler, and I forget every single time until now it's dead. I mean, the Gobbler's dead. All right, that was not the only interview though, Shadow Fang. We have one more coming up, a little bit more melancholy, a little bit more of a downward tone because this is the exit interview for Shelby's team. We have Manny and we have Synergy coming in to kind of give us that rundown. You know, what is the future for you guys? So Synergy, Manny, say hello. How are you guys feeling? It was a 4-map series. You guys got 1 map in, but ultimately you bow out at 3rd place. What's next? What's the next steps?
I mean, Halo's good, y'all. But I mean, with our team, I'm very proud of like how we did. Kind of like find ourselves towards the end, but like I think we do really well this time. And if we ever do anything else again, then I think it's going to go well. So.
I know for the team, a lot of us are ranks differ, life differs. Maybe you'll see us again. Maybe you won't. You never know. But I would say I'm very proud of the team and how we did getting to 3rd, especially with such a thrown together. I shouldn't say thrown together. We came together pretty well, but the roster very much was of this season. Not many people expected it. Some changes that were made, so I'm very proud of how we did.
And yeah, I mean, I think y'all had a fantastic season, honestly, coming into 3rd place here. And, you know, just kind of focusing in on the match today, where do you think the big struggles were coming in for you throughout this entire match? Were you just not as comfortable trying to mirror that Mauga comp consistently? Where were you feeling the struggle at?
These guys were very much weirdos for running the Mauga shit, but
all right.
I had to get that one out the way. But I mean, I think like a lot of our struggles was just adapting to like what they were on, because they were, like I said, on some weird comps. And so like we had to adapt, and then now we're kind of getting like ran over by this big 700-pound Hawaiian dude that just so happens to have 2 machine guns attached to his arms. And like that was starting to get to us, but I mean we brought it back like slowly but surely, but not enough, I guess.
Bowed out at the end. I was going to say as well, it was very much a struggle going from 2 games apart from the DB reverse sweep to this one. Definitely caused a bit of problems for us in terms of the mental, but we're glad we at least did put up some sort of a fight to kind of show like there is still something there. Could go out with something.
Well, and then my final question is actually going to be, what are your predictions for this Grand Finals? I mean, you just played both of these teams back to back, so where's your head at after, as far as predicting where the Grand Finals might end up?
I gave a bit of a hint to it in one of the chats, but I at the end of the day, I think both teams deserve it. Wawa's been doing an insane bottom bracket run, and DB has earned this for a long time. Since last season, they played really well. But if I had to make my predictions, I'm an underdog believer. I really hope Wawa takes it 4-3.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I do not think that like Death Blossom has like the counter to what like Wawa has. Like they are like one of the most like susceptible teams to it. So I do not
It'll
think
be
it's
a-
looking too bright for them. But
It'll be a battle
It
of
is
the
what it is.
strategies. They both have very
Yeah.
set comps they like to play.
I will say I do want to commend you. 'Cause I did see in the chat, kind of passing that mantle to them to get the win against DB for you guys, right? And I want to commend you guys. I know, like, going from last week, the being reverse swept into only getting a map win, right? But still having that camaraderie, having that good sportsmanship is genuinely something that I want to praise you guys for, genuinely. And you guys should really pat yourself on the back for, feeling good, feeling good for the other team and wanting them to go out there and do their best in your name. So I want to give you guys that real quick as a side note. And now, the final question for you guys. And of course, that comes down to just a simple shout out. Who would you guys like to give a shout out to for the last time on stream for season 16?
I'm gonna give an anti shout out to the Gobbler. That guy is like so terrible. I do not like mess with the Gobbler. We are not Gobbler goons. But on a real shout out note, I mean, I do want to like big shout out to Paperclip and like everyone on the team together, especially Paperclip though, and also Cloud for like bringing it back off of losing our whole org. So I mean, like, they did some amazing work to like keep the to keep the oil in the engine, keep us moving, and so like shout out them. But very big anti shout out to the Gobbler.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say there's too many people on the team to thank, so I can't really. I'll just say overall, I'm glad for everyone on the team. I'm glad we did put up a fight, even though we were down 0-2. We put up something to fight, and yeah, that's all I can really say. I'm really proud of how far we came.
Well, I am as well. Thank you so much for your time. You guys were a shining beacon in multiple of the last multiple seasons, including this one. I hope to see all of you come back, whether if it's together in separate teams, but as players, I think you guys all have something really that shines in the Diamond Division, or even beyond, of course, if y'all make it, come out to the Masters Division as well. So, on that note, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for showcasing such wonderful mechanics, talent, all that jazz in all of the broadcasts you've been on, and I can't wait to see you guys in the future, wherever you guys go.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Peace out.
Oh, that's so bittersweet. Oh my god. It's one thing to cast like over Diamond Division so many times, Shadow Fang, but it's also another thing to have competed against some of these players and like really come to know them a lot in the Diamond tier. And I love Diamond so much. So let me lock in. That's the end of the broadcast so far. But Shadow Fang, we have some things to review real quick. The bracket, of course. This is where things have all laid out for grand finals.
And yeah, I mean, it's just like we heard. I believe it was Manny was the one that was saying it. These two teams have very set compositions that they like to play, and in theory, I would think that the Malga can kind of run through the Zarya, but we saw that not be the case last time. So I don't know. I expect this to be a lot closer than a 3-0 series for this grand finals.
Yeah, this is, you heard, I think Synergy was when I was like, I think this is going to come down to a 4-3. They want this to go all the way to game number 7, down to the wire, nail biter, everything. And I would not have it any other way with Death Blossom versus Wawa Gaming coming up. Ideally, sometime next week. They gotta get their games scheduled, get those points in, get their matches in, all that jazz, so Fish does not come for you in your sleep. Here's a reminder of the results of all of our matches we had on CGL 1, 2, and 3. Very, very busy night for all of NA. We have Ambitious Silver Squad getting that perfect 4-0 in the grand finals against Drop the Guns. Wawa Gaming, of course, 3-1 against Shelby's team. And then on CGL 3, we had Primordius Rising with a 3-0 against the Zodiacs. I believe that was a lower bracket finals, and Primordius Rising should be going to grand finals, I want to say. So we have a lot of grands coming up next week, guys. This is basically ending most of our lower brackets, ending most of our winners brackets, and trying to get us down to that grand final spot, basically now from Diamond up into that open tier.
Yeah, so keep your eyes peeled on those notifications. There is a potential that we have a game every single day this week, Or there could be another night like this where 3 grand finals get scheduled all at the same time. So there's still a few games to be played. I think they're all going to probably finish out this week, though, most likely.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very packed week here. Coming up for these grand finals matches for Season 16 to round out what has been honestly an amazing season from all the way from Plat up into that open tier EU, NA, and of course shout out to our Latin American teams finalizing their grand finals this past weekend as well. So with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, not just our stream, but also supporting CGL 1 and CGL 3 in their broadcast, their producers, casters, and observers. And we'll see you guys next week for the finals of most of our divisions. Have a good one, and we'll see you guys later.
Feel my heart, it's beat tight. Oh, my body's breathing, it's just you and me. Feel my heart, it's beat tight. Oh, my body's breathing, it's just you.